Hello and welcome to another Healthcare Business Resource Alliance Media Channel interview. My name is Tony Cowan, and today I'm joined by Marty Goldmintz. Marty, welcome. I'm going to start off by letting you introduce yourself.
Thanks, Tony. My name is Marty Goldmintz. I'm a technology consultant for Advantage Technologies. We are a 23-year-old managed IT service company focused in the dental industry. My role is I'm in the territory all the way from South Carolina all the way down to the Orlando market. What my company focuses on is the ability to connect all the different hardware and dental along with the practice management solutions. We've got just under 800 dental clients under management.
My first question is, I can't think of an aspect of the healthcare delivery system that has changed more than IT over my 30-year career in healthcare, and it's all technology driven. In today's market, how would you frame the IT services and what is the value benefit for a practice when it comes to in-housing, outsourcing, and how would you address that?
Sure. I mean, what we're seeing and what's been going on for quite a while now is you have a lot of different components in IT and dental, unlike traditional IT. You've got intraoral cameras, you've got sensors, you've got X-ray imaging, you've got 3D imaging, 2D imaging. So the question is, how can you efficiently put all these pieces together? Tony, it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. You've got all these different pieces that have to talk to each other. And if one piece doesn't fit, it affects the whole picture. So part of what we do is we speak to vendors all day long on the imaging side, the software side, all the dental hardware. So we're able to piece things together for clients in a very quick manner. I think if an IT company tried to do it, they would have to go on Google and try to figure it all out. You don't have to pay a company like ours to do the research. We're talking to these vendors, all these different partners all day long.
I see a lot of, clearly hospitals, one of the biggest paid employees at a hospital right now is their IT people, right? That's a whole hiring vertical to try and find people that have the skill sets to run a, HIPAA compliant network. For medical practices, do you think it's advantageous to do if it breaks, hire someone to fix it, or do you have maintenance programs? How do you work that?
Well, we have monthly managed service fees, which really cover two areas. There's really two concerns, in the medical, dental, or the healthcare field. Really, is the connectivity. So everything is talking to each other. All the different peripherals are talking to each other. The imaging, practice management programs, but also the security side of it is extremely important. How are you going to manage your security for HIPAA compliance? What backup disaster recovery plans do you have in place? How are you going to manage those? What are you doing to minimize intrusion from the outside? All those different things have to be in place. So really, IT for healthcare really has to be focused on the security side, the backup side, making sure you have redundancies, but also the connectivity side, as well as how quickly can you support a solution. For example, in our situation, we have artificial intelligence where when someone clicks on an icon on a screen, it actually goes back to what was happening before the issue occurred. So now before a call is even made, there's information of what you were doing beforehand. So you don't have to retell the story over and over again. So you're looking for quick resolution, you're looking for security, and you're looking for connectivity.
So when I was running, a document management system back in the 90s, we had dual tape drive backups that we had redundancy, and every week one backed up, and then the next week the other one would back up. Does your company provide cloud services? Is that the new state of the art for the industry now?
It's actually more than cloud. There's the cloud services where your data is backed up offsite and you get a weekly report, which a lot of people don't realize how important that is for HIPAA compliance. You want to have a weekly report that a third-party company is backing it up. Was it successful? Was it not successful? What's the status of it? But also, what would you do if you did have an issue and you had an event that occurred where you can get your data on the internet, but you have nowhere to put the data because you had an equipment failure, for example, with your server, or you had a ransomware attack on your server. We provide a backup disaster recovery server. And what that does, basically, it's a standby server. So if your main server goes down either through a component failure or a ransomware attack, you can go to the backup disaster recovery server, which would not be affected with ransomware because it's working in a Linux environment. So the bad guys would never see it on the network. It's off to the side. So there's two issues. One, having your data. Now, where are you going to put your data once you have your backup data? So it's all about time, practice continuity, minimizing downtime. While there's no perfect solution, what you want to do is you want to be ahead so you can bring the practice back up as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that speaks a lot to in the break it and fix it dynamic, and you go out and reach out to an IT company, how important it seems to me that you're dealing with an IT company that understands the medical industry and the challenges of that.
I think the best way to look at services is you compare it to your car. You do maintenance on your car so you don't have major issues.
Yeah.
Well, with managed service, there's a lot of behind the scenes things that are being corrected, which will not affect you. But if you were doing it on a break fix situation, for example, it could cause some serious downtime, and that actually ends up being more expensive in the long run.
Yeah, yeah. I want to ask you a question about the difference between starting from scratch and getting to go into a blank canvas and setting up a program versus there's a lot of acquisitions going on right now.
Sure.
How do you address going into a dental or medical practice that already has infrastructure and making sure that it's up to date, that their I's are dotted and T's are crossed, and they're not acquiring some architecture that was put in place in the 90s?
Sure. Part of what we do is we go on site, we do a complimentary assessment, which is twofold. One is just on the security side, make sure their data is being backed up, they're meeting HIPAA compliance as far as what they're trying to do with their data. Because at the end of the day, that's what you want to ensure more than anything else in life. A lot of doctors have all kinds of insurance. That's the most important insurance is your data. It pays for everything else. So we do an assessment for the data. We also do an assessment on how current you are. Are you getting your updates done? Is your software, your revisions up to date? Obviously, in the cloud, they're updating you all the time. Yeah. But people think, well, I'm in the cloud, everything's okay, my data's backed up. If someone gets your credentials and they go into your cloud solution, you could have a serious problem, and you own that problem too. So we do a serious assessment. We ask them what their future plans are, so we can provide them plans for not just for today. We like to look at ourselves as not a vendor, but a partner at the table. But what is the impact on IT when they go ahead and acquire certain imaging or certain hardware that they need or sensors? What is the impact on the overall production for the office and also for IT, so they can plan ahead? A vendor will sell you all kinds of things, and then, hey, if it doesn't connect, like we were talking before about connecting,
yep,
what do you do then? That's where we would come in.
Yeah. So you actually help with, in today's dental industry, I just moved, so I got a new dentist, and my new dentist is sort of like a 90s office. My last dentist, had the 360, CT that revolves around your head and the whole 9 yards. I imagine the continuity of integrating all of these technologies can be a nightmare for an office manager. Is that one of the key aspects to why you come in, to make sure that files are being loaded into the right place?
Yeah, basically what we also do is we run into all kinds of scenarios. The younger doctors want to be totally paperless. So unlike the environment where you had before your first dentist, we go in, we don't see a piece of paper on the floor, anywhere, or on the desk or anywhere. And so what we do is we're just making sure, okay, everything's digital. Are the right procedures being put in place to protect it? And are they on the most current version so they don't run into issues? People forget the reason Windows does a lot of updates is for security. Practice management programs do the same thing. It's for security. So are they on the most current versions? And we encourage them to do that. So we act basically on their behalf. We help them manage their partners by speaking to their partners when they're having an issue. Office managers are overloaded with work. It could take them hours to speak to different partners, an X-ray company, or it could be a camera, intraoral camera, whatever it is. They could take hours spending time with them. We take that off their hands, and we will speak to their partners on their behalf to get the pieces of the puzzle together.
Yeah, great.
Mm,
So I now want to throw you a curveball question.
sure.
This is something I love to talk about right now because it's so poignant. Talking about artificial intelligence and how that's going, how you see based on your background, that transforming your niche in the market. What do you see in the near future and then long-term future for artificial intelligence?
Well, for example, on our side, we're seeing it being used to gather information so we can get ahead of the curve when we're resolving issues with errors that jump up or whatever. It's also being used obviously in an appointment setting in practices. Predictability of conversations, which actually is old news. It's been going on for a couple of years. For booking appointments, for setting appointments, scheduling, filling in schedules. It's planning ahead for procedures based on information that they have, predictability of events that are going to happen within physically, whether it's in dental or medical, so you can plan ahead. So the idea is to get ahead of the curve, and that's what our artificial intelligence can do for you.
Yeah.
And just give a better experience to the patient by more preventative care.
There's immediate upside, but the cap is unimaginable, right? We don't
Right,
know what we don't know about what that cap's going to be with artificial intelligence. So
right,
it's both exciting and terrifying at the same time.
right, right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff that can come from it, but we've got to use it for good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So Marty, thanks for joining us today.
Sure.
And thank you for being a part of the Healthcare Business Resource Alliance.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, Tony, for your time also.
Take care. Bye.